Welcome back to Builder 101. This is the series where I attempt to make you into a much better builder by giving you guys simple tutorials as well as tips which I've learned throughout my whole entire Minecraft career, or whatever you want to call it. In today's video, I will attempt to teach y'all a thing or two about color palettes, or color theory, or what blocks go well with what blocks. Before I get it right into the video, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. This lets me know you guys do enjoy this kind of stuff, which I enjoy doing it. Anyways, onward into the video! Woo! So now that is out of the way, let me slip into something more appealing for today's occasion. This goes there, that goes there, and I think I'm all ready. I believe this is more fitting for the occasion. So just a little starter heads up thingy-mabob, or whatever you want to call it. Today's video is entirely made to watch entirely in full and not jumping timestamp to timestamp, mainly because I want this to work as a starter video for you beginners out there who don't really know how to build, but kind of want to learn how to build. And I do know that this topic today will be slightly confusing, but I will attempt to kind of put it into very digestible bits to where even someone who's not very knowledgeable about color theory and color placement and block theory can kind of understand a little bit of it. So anyways, let's get started. So over here, I have these right here, and these are called the primary colors, which are red, yellow, and then blue. And these are your main three colors which you need to make all the colors of the rainbow or all the colors of the color wheel. Over here, we have these secondary colors. And how you make these is you combine red, yellow, and blue. So let's just say you want orange. You would combine red and yellow. Let's say you want it green. You would combine yellow and blue, which are the primary colors. And let's say you want it purple. You would combine red and then blue. That will make purple. And now up here, I have brown. And brown, mind you, is a very special case, which I will get back to in just a second. So mind you, there is definitely more colors than just the primaries, also the secondaries. There are colors actually in between these colors here, which for the sake of the video and for the sake of not wanting to confuse y'all, I'm just gonna put it to where these are your main colors everyone tends to work with. And for an example, actually inside of the creative inventory, these are technically all the colors of the Minecraft rainbow. You know, we have red, we have orange, we have yellow, and then we have lime, and then green, and then so on and so forth and so forth. So over here, as we go down, this is technically all the colors which are over there, but also here. And black is also a color kind of like brown where it goes well with everything. I will definitely come back to these colors right here. So over here, we tend to divide different colors by the way they make us feel or look. So right here, we have the warm colors, which consist of pink, red, orange, yellow, and then green. Now up here, we have cool, which is purple, blue, light blue, cyan, and then green. And you're probably curious, why exactly are they known as cool and warm? So technically, cool has more of the bluish or bluish to it, and warm has a little bit of red. And by red, it just means that it has a little bit more brightness or more of a warm feel than the cool ones. So let's just say hypothetically, you want to create a very cool feeling build temperature-wise, and mind you, this is all temperature. You would be using this right here. Let's just say you want it to make a warm build. Let's just say like you're living inside the nether and you want to have a warm temperature feeling build, you would choose from here. And so a little bit down here, we have what is called a gradient. And a gradient is lightness to darkness. And in between we have the middle, which is the color that sets flat. And mind you, a lot of builders, they tend to use gradients. Now, I will definitely come back to this, but this is very, very, very popular. As you can tell inside of the creative menu, we have a lot of stones and we have a lot of stuff that is gradients. You know, we have tuff, we have deep slate, we have diorite, we have stones, we have mossy stones. These all right here, minus of course granite for some reason, these are all gradients. And so this is technically what we're going for when we say gradient. And you can definitely make a gradient with just more than white to black. You can do it from white all the way to the darkest blue, which we have. This is just an example for people who don't really know what gradients are and don't really know what colors are. Now over here, kind of wanted to show a little bit of texture because I ran a community poll and some people said that they have issues with textures and walls. And this is just an example for textures. And usually how you do textures is you stay inside of the same family. So let's just say you're making a wall to where you want to make it red, but also you kind of want it to be kind of burgundy. You would use bricks as well as some granite because these two work because they're in the same family. And by family, I mean color scheme. Now, if we go back over here, there are colors inside of red, which could possibly mean red, but also orangish red. Why this works is granite has a little bit of the redness or the darker redness of the brick, and that's kind of how it blends in properly. Same with over here. So over here, birch is a very, very, very light tan, almost cream color. Bamboo, I would say, is very yellow, but also has a little bit of that tan. So they blend decently well. Now over here we have jungle wood and oak. And now, mind you, the jungle wood is kind of a stretch, but I kind of feel like if you're making this into a wall, this would fit perfectly because jungle wood kind of has that brownish tint to it, but it looks a little bit of like a bricky red, where I kind of feel like that gives you a slight gradient, especially if you're going, you know, logs to planks to that and etc, etc. Now here, and this is actually why I enjoy acacia wood, because acacia logs blend very well with stone walls. So what I have here is I have a total of 4 blocks: stone bricks, cobblestone, smooth stone, and also acacia logs. And I think it all blends very well because all these blocks here, which mind you, I could use more, all these blocks are part of the same color family. And what I mean is that if you look inside of the creative mode inventory, we see how stone bricks are part of the same family, and how we have smooth stone, which are part of the same family. These are technically all just stone, which means that if you stay with the stone variants, as well as tough and all the underground quote-unquote tones, you can't really lose. To continue, I have this. So I talked about brown a little bit inside the beginning. Brown is a very, very, very special case. And now right here is just a showcase of brown. So what I have here is I have spruce logs, spruce planks, mud, and also jungle. And I kind of think I should use way more jungle wood because I think it blends very well with spruce as well as the mud. Now over here, I have a wall that is very, very, very good in blue, where I have blue concrete, light blue concrete, and also the warped logs. And I think this works very well with texture. Sadly enough, I kind of struggled because we have a lot of blue ones and they don't really blend very well, but we have this. What I have here is the crimson, the dark prismarine, and I believe the cyan concrete. And now mind you, this flows perfectly. And what I mean is that dark prismarine by warped wood, it looks phenomenal. Like, let me zoom in really, 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 really close. You see how they look like the same color, but one is texture different, the other one is texture different. This would flow amazingly. I would say out of all this, minus probably a few examples, this is most likely the best one. And now going over, we also have a much darker brown texture pattern. And now I'm using dark oak logs, dark oak planks, brown terracotta, brown wool, and I believe this is actually mangrove log. And this blends in very well. And this is also another example of the much darker gradient tones or stone tones. Now what I have here is I have deep slate, cracked deep slate tiles, smooth basalt, and then regular basalt, and also polished deep slate. And this right here fits perfectly. And now mind you, they use a lot of this inside of the ancient city builds, and I think it works. And now if you want to become a very, very, very simple builder, you look around you. You see what structures look good and what structures are using different types of blocks. And now for the ancient city, they use this. And this is a perfect texture. Now over here, I have more of a red. I have crimson planks, mangrove logs, which are stripped by the way, and mangrove planks. And I think this blends very well. And now if you're looking for a simple texture, you honestly can't go wrong with just doing this. And now this right here would be an example of a perfect texture, but it looks too simple. Now mind you, if you're making this example to impress your friends, it will definitely impress them, but it looks flat and it lacks a lot of variety, but also it lacks the texture. I will do a video on adding depth and other stuff to builds and also walls, so more to come. Anyways, back to the subject at hand. So over here, this is technically called a monochromatic. And now inside of music, there's a thing called a monochromatic scale where a singer goes lower to higher, and the same thing with color. because monochromatic means that someone is starting from one of the low point of saturation to a very, very, very high point of saturation. And by saturation, I just mean that likeness to more of the darker version of it. Technically, if you wanted to, you could extend this all the way down to white or down to snow, which I have over here. And technically, monochromatic is just a fancy lingo word for gradient. And so if you want to make a gradient to blue, you would do snow all the way to dark blue. And now you're probably curious on why exactly I showed monochromatic off, because a lot of times when you're terraforming and also want to do nature builds, using monochromatic looks really good. I will definitely give you guys a lot of examples after I'm done with the small introductory. So over here, we have what is called the complementary colors. Now, this is quite confusing, and I will have a color wheel on screen right now kind of showing you guys what I'm talking about, but complementary colors, these are the colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. For an example, red and green, orange and blue, purple and yellow. And usually what I mean is that these colors complement or look good with each other because it shows the abstract combination of the two. Now, what I mean example-wise, I mean how acacia wood and warped wood look really good together. Mind you, I did this inside of my survival LP, which I thought looked really good. Now over here, more of that showcase of the complementary colors, I have red and green. Now over here, I have purple. Now, mind you, we don't really have a lot of purple stuff, so I'd use purple and cherry wood. I think this kind of works as an example. So right here, I have purple, and then I have a little bit of that yellow. And this works because it makes your eye constrained and kind of wonder, what is wrong with this build? Why does it work? And a lot of times in nature, plants and animals, they use complementary colors to kind of stand out and to also attract stuff which they want to attract. For an example, if a flower is very high in nectar, it pretty much uses a complementary color to attract bees as well as hummingbirds to kind of pollinate themselves. Really cool, right? So over here, we're going to talk about triadic schemes, which are technically choosing 3 colors of the color wheel, but you're making a triangle. For an example, right here, I have purple, red, and orange. This is known as a triadic scheme. And what I mean is that technically, you're using 3 colors, making a triangle inside of the color wheel. Usually, people use this in a lot of very, very, very interesting ways. So if you look on the internet, there's different kind of names for different schemes, and they blend very well together. A lot of times, if you just mess around, you kind of can't lose. So right over here is an example of what is called a tree triadic. And so tree triadic just means that someone picks 4 colors on the color wheel, but they form a rectangle or a square. And usually it is 2 pairs of colors that kind of are opposite of each other on the color wheel. And usually people can shift it to whatever combinations they want, but it has to make a rectangle. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's kind of confusing because I'm talking about triangles and rectangles and squares and all this stuff, but just look at what I'm doing, and after a little bit of looking at what I'm doing, hopefully you understand it. If you're struggling, leave a comment and I will attempt to help anyone out. Now over here we have what is called analogous schemes, and these are colors that fit right beside each other on the color wheel. And for an example, I mean different types of blues, different types of reds, different types of greens. Well, I'm pretty sure this part of the video might not make a lot of sense because it's kind of confusing, but I will attempt to kind of break it down to where it's very, very, very easily digestible. So brown and also black, they are special cases, and I'm pretty sure you've probably heard fashion-wise, black and brown go well with anything. And you're probably curious on why exactly is it true, Marshy Sputter? Well, if you can see here, I'm using different shades of brown as a baseline. And mind you, this works well with every single block here. And this works because brown is created by mixing all of these secondary colors, and brown is technically a composite color. One could say that brown is the foundation which builders tend to use. And this is also kind of why spruce is loved by the community, because I'm not sure if you noticed this, but spruce is brown, which is a composite color. And composite colors are just perfect colors that kind of bring out a little bit of hue and saturation, but also color of the color pretty much. I know it's not making a lot of sense, but brown, if you use brown inside your build, you kind of can't miss it, because brown, mind you, goes well with anything, as well as black. Hopefully this helps. I know it's quite confusing. Hopefully I made it very easy for you guys to understand all of this stuff. So let me go find some place decently flat so I can actually show you guys a little bit of builds that incorporate all this different types of color. Alright, so this section of the video is going to be entirely made for people who kind of want to see some examples of color palettes and they didn't really want to watch this whole entire shenanigans over here in terms of like learning about color theory. This is for people who are kind of already know what color theory is and they just want to go right down to the nitty gritty. So let me clear out the small patch of land really fast. Alright, so I technically kind of already have the foundation for this set up, but I kind of wanted to show y'all what exactly I'm doing. So my palette is going to be spruce, dirt, granite, coarse dirt, rooted dirt, and then just regular dirt. And I kind of want to incorporate all these into this build. So for the bottom, I decided that I kind of wanted the foundation to look kind of away from the dirt. So I'm going to add a little bit of rooted dirt, because if you look at rooted dirt, it kind of has that granite instead of the dirt texture. So I'm going to add that around here, and I'm just going to bring that up. And for the sides, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to also add a little bit of coarse dirt to kind of give that source of gradients. And behind here, I'm going to do the same thing. So rooted dirts, but instead of doing that, I'm going to mix it up, because I feel like with some builds, we tend to copy and paste what we think is really good around the build to where it looks good, but after a little bit, it's just like, what's the point of looking around the build, because each side is going to be the same. So this kind of, when you use different placement techniques and kind of make every side unique, it definitely makes the build look 100 times better from what I've learned. But now mind you, if you want to try your own build style or palette style, you totally can. By all means, you need to experiment, because how I've become so good at building is just experimentation really. Like this series is basically me experimenting with different block palettes. I never thought that I would create a build out of dirt and granite. That didn't look that bad. So I'm going to just continue with this a little bit. And so this kind of gives you the shell of, this has a lot of, I suppose, earthy tones, but it looks like there's a little bit of, I suppose, pinkish. Now, let's just say you wanted to make a house that was entirely different. You wanted it to entirely stand out. You could easily do this. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to lay out the build. And how I'd like to build is I tend to have the darker stuff down, but honestly, it really depends what kind of build style you want to go for. If you want to go for an ancient city, you would do it entirely different as you would like a cherry build or something like that, because each build is unique. Just for this example, I'm going to show you all a little bit of the complementary colors. And so far, as you can tell, it looks really good due to the opposites that are on the color wheel, because mind you, what I said over there is that orange and blue, they are opposite of the color wheel, so they're going to cause the person's eye to kind of distinct this with something else. So let me finish this build really fast and I'll show y'all what I'm talking about. And mind you, what I'm doing right here is I'm attempting to give a little bit of depth for the entry point, because I would like to do things with certain walls as well as entry points. It kind of makes your eye go towards it because it gives that sense of shadow. And what I did here is I just made a staircase look down, and then I pretty much put my little mouse cursor on the bottom of this block, causing it to go kind of sit flat. Mind you, I'm going to dedicate an entire video dedicated to adding depth as well as adding slightly more texture, more of a advanced video. This video is just more of a beginner's guide to color and trying to create abstract builds that aren't really normal. And so far, this is what it's looking like. And I'm going to just add a little bit of lightness to the build. I'm going to do so by adding a little bit of smooth stone. And mind you, smooth stone as well as a lot of whites bring like a lot of lightness or kind of bring the eye up. So I'm going to actually do a little bit more. Just to explain what I'm doing is I'm trying to add kind of strain to the eye, but kind of give a little bit of the highlights around the blue as well as the orange of the acacia wood. Now let's just say you don't like any of these builds and they look weird and it doesn't really fit your style of building. Well, let me see what I can cook up for y'all. Alright, so what I'm going to attempt to do is I'm going to try and showcase one of the most popular block palettes. And this is technically just a standard brown and also gray house. This is like the beginner's house pretty much. This is what people tend to create when they're just now getting started in building. And this is kind of why spruce is so popular as is, because spruce honestly goes well with anything. Like, people, like, it goes well with any kind of block palette. And now, mind you, most likely not cherry, because cherry is a interesting case, but a lot of times with spruce, you kind of can't mess it up. So I'm going to just add a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Give me 1 second. And now, so far, I can just tell that this build itself is looking very, very, very brown. It's looking very, 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 very bland. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace some of these spruce stairs with just a little bit of a darker tone. How gradients are is that spruce, I would say, is on the left, aka lighter area of the gradient scale. And I would say that dark oak is definitely much darker than spruce. Now, mind you, I do have a texture pack going on. I have vanilla tweaks, and this texture pack kind of messes with the saturation of dark oak to where it looks really good. So just mind you that my dark oak might not look the same as your dark oak. Now, honestly, this is looking really good. So let me just finish up here with the roof line really fast, and I will show y'all what exactly I'm doing. And I know this build looks very nonsensical. I'm not going for aesthetics. I'm just trying to go for a showcase to what you can do with different types of color. What I have here is I have spruce, and then I have stone. I'll give you a little bit of a secret. So come here. Stone goes well with literally any kind of build. No matter what you're doing, stone works perfectly every time. It doesn't matter if you're using a cherry house. Here, I will actually show you what I'm talking about, because I dislike cherry for this main reason where it's so difficult to work with. And to prove a point, I will show y'all what exactly I'm talking about. So I'm going to just make a very standard wall while using cherry wood. And I'm sorry if you love cherry wood. Just as a builder, I'm not a fan of it. But I will give you guys an example on why, honestly, stone and stone variants, mainly just this basic type of stone, is one of the best things you can do. So I'm going to just construct a basic cherry window. And as you can tell, it looks really good. And mind you, it looks good because stone is a very neutral color to where it looks good with anything. Now, honestly, I could tweak around with this. I could add maybe diorite or something, which, mind you, diorite is also a stone. So let's see if we like that. There you go. See, it works. And now, mind you, everyone's style is going to be entirely different. I think I've kind of showcased a little bit of the idea behind using rounds and whatnot, but let me just continue with this really fast and I'll show you all the final product in just a second. You know, mind you, I will definitely do a build strictly dedicated to roof lines. To be fair, roofs are kind of the very, very, very section of Minecraft building wise where I struggle with the most, because a lot of times with my roofs I have to honestly redo it, and a lot of times I have no idea how to do them, and usually I just do a simple staircase roof. So mind you, I'm no pro. I'm not a pro at all, and I think it kind of shows with this roof line so far. But this kind of shows you that even people like me who have been playing Minecraft for years can still honestly struggle. Don't feel bad if you struggle at all with building. It will come. So I can tell that this is looking kind of dullish, so I'm going to add just a little bit of a brighter note to bring a little bit of this in. So just for consistency, I'm going to add a little bit of stone, but I'm not going to use this kind of stone. I'm going to use stone, which is not going to be stone brick. And while doing so, I kind of give that smoothness of a gradient. And while I do this, it also breaks up the eye to where I kind of feel like if it was mainly stone brick, it would look really boring and people would lose interest. And what we want to do as builders is we want to showcase what we can do in the game. You know, we don't want to. And also what I did there is I just clicked. I right clicked on the small section of the block, and when I did that, I did this. So what I was saying is we want to showcase our talent to people, and we want people to be interested. So there we go. Let me do the other side as well. And I suppose I will do a quick crash course on depth for walls. So what I like to do for walls is I tend to just do the staircase route, where I just add staircases randomly. I do that, I do this, I do that. And doing so kind of breaks it apart. And so what I do here is I don't really have a set plan. I tend to want to have those tiny squares right there. And I kind of have those sporadically, where I kind of feel like if I do a gigantic crack right here, that looks good, but it kind of feels too planned. And I kind of feel like as builders, we're kind of like artists as to where we want to just make things not look so planned. So that was just a very, very quick crash course in depth. I will definitely upload a video to where it kind of gives you more of that, because, you know, I don't want you guys to be like, he's not going to do this. Trust me, I'm not going to be stopping the series anytime soon because I'm enjoying it. While adding depth, you can definitely go crazy and you can do stuff like this. I kind of think that I added a little bit of everything was about over there. I added a little bit of different tones. I added a different set of colors, and I also added a neutral color, which is the gray. And over here, I added a little bit of the contrast build, you know, and over here I kind of did a little bit of a gradient. And I kind of would like to showcase off a little bit of the stone kind of builds you can do, especially if you want to experiment and kind of go the easy way out. So let me pick up some blocks really fast. And now mind you, this source of doing it really early game is really easy. So I'm going to just use this, that. Now mind you, all of these blocks are part of the same family, so they're going to look good regardless of what I do. So right here, I'm just adding walls because it was the first thing I collected. And honestly, if you do stuff like this all around, it looks really good. And why does it look good? Because these are all gradients, or they're all a part of the stuff that can give a gradient. Let me do that and that. And let me, just for the heck of it, add a little bit of stone to lighten it up a little bit. And what I'm doing is I'm not really going for a set pattern. I'm just trying to mix it up a little bit. I will add a spot for a door. There you go. And I know that this looks kind of chaotic, but I kind of feel like if you did a house with all these walls around it, it will look really good. Kind of like that. And I know this house is not really good. In fact, let me grab a flint and steel really fast. Yeah, this house was not good. But I mean, hopefully if you watch the video, this kind of gives you an idea on what exactly you can do to expand your building techniques. But before I go and call the video quits, I kind of wanted to show y'all some very easy block palettes you can do to kind of guarantee your success in the game. So give me 1 second, I will cook up some stuff for y'all. Alright, so over here I kind of laid out some of the most popular building palettes people tend to use. So over here I have mossy cobblestone, mossy bricks, and bricks. This is probably, if you're looking for like a naturalistic scene or something like that, this would be great for you. This is spruce, stripped spruce, spruce planks, and then oak planks. Right here is oak, stripped oak, birch, and then oak, birch, stripped birch, birch logs, and then diorite. And I know people hate diorite, but it looks really good right beside birch logs and other birch type stuff. Right here I have dark oak, mangrove logs, I believe that's dark oak, and spruce. Right here I have mangrove planks, sheared cherry wood, and then cherry planks. Right here I have the crimson, I have the warped wood, I have the warped planks, the crimson planks, and then I have smooth deep slate. Right here I have andesite, right here I have smooth andesite, I have tough as well as smooth blackstone. Well, polished blackstone, my bad. Right here I have stripped mangrove planks, mud brick, and then the mudded root stuff. Right here I have spruce, smooth stone, cobblestone, and then spruce planks. This is technically what a lot of the OG players use, so this is really popular. Over here I have jungle, bamboo, jungle planks, as well as birch. I think these blend really well together. Right here I have netherrack, red nether brick, blackstone, and then I have bricked deep slate. Right here I have dark oak, spruce logs, dark prismarine, and prismarine brick. Right here I have the acacia, cobblestone, stone brick, as well as acacia planks. Also, this is why I love acacia. Right here I have the acacia logs, acacia planks, dark prismarine, and the warped wood. I have pepper, jungle, bamboo, and then birch. Right here I have the shripped crimson logs. Right here I have some weathered copper. Right here I have moss, and right here I have crimson. Right here I have a little bit of the exposed copper. Right here I have the acacia, and mind you, acacia looks really good by copper. It looks excellent. It complements it very, very, very well. Honestly, I really do love what they added with the new copper blocks. It looks amazing. Anyways, carry on. Right here I have spruce as well as spruce planks. Right here I have warped, shripped, more of the prismarine, and then more dark prismarine. Right here I have one of the most hardest palettes I struggle with is cherry. I have shripped cherry, cherry planks, snow, and blackstone. So with cherry, it's really hard because the wood is so light and you only have probably maximum of 5 block combinations, and yeah, but a lot of times if you just look around you and kind of know a little bit of color theory, it makes building Minecraft get quite easy. Always try something new. Always try something new no matter what you do. It's always great to expand your horizons and kind of work with a little bit more color, because a lot of times with me, as well as the Minecraft community, we get so absorbed inside of what we already have to where we don't really touch this amazing world of color that we should be embracing, not so much rejecting. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe for more. Anyways, have a great day. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Bye bye.